voices on the camera.
What? I'm so good!
Now all silent in a 1v4. He takes 2. Down goes both. Can he stay alive? He downs another 1v1. On to Kento and he wins it!
Clutch this round out for IF. He gets 2. That's the defeat. That's huge. Mikey, no, so
Oh my-
on the drop. Where Subarctic is sprinting around desperately, and we're going to overtime.
Oh my god! Ashen! It's high noon! There's the 1v2 and 5-1-1/2 for Surf.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second quarterfinals game. I'm Harrison, as always, joined by Jonah. And Jonah, we get to cast Wichita Wolves Academy again. I love casting this team. And KARN and Co., who I'm very excited for because they are much improved.
Yeah, we've got 2 exciting teams in front of us, and Harrison, we don't have to really dilly-dally here. Let's just dive right into it and take a look at our first team here.
And of course, that will be KARN and Co. Used to be Livid. They had a lot of struggles in both Challenger League and Stage 1. It's Carnage B, Whitlock, Mikey, Zeno, and Feltwinter. But so far in Stage 2, ever since bringing in Feltwinter, they have looked beautiful. Fun fact, they have not dropped a single map yet. And we're going to need that kind of heroic performance from them, especially against a team like Wichita Wolves Academy. And I'm really looking for Feltwinter to step up again. Now, Mikey has said in his interviews that Feltwinter, you know, he may not have been fragging out like the best of them, but what he does lack in the scoreboard so far, he brings in comms, he brings in vibes. Somehow, some way, KARN and Co has just felt better and meshed together better since bringing Feltwinter in. I mean, the fact that he teamed with Zeno and Whitlock for an extensive period before that probably helps as well. But I mean, Mikey's been popping off, you know, Zeno's been popping off. But again, I think if Feltwinter can really get into the groove and start fragging like we've seen him frag in the past, that'll elevate KARN and Co to the next level.
Well, let's take a look at this Wichita Wolves Academy roster. Of course, your current reigning champs of SCS. This is Spiff, Ashen, Asian, Reed, and Ambi. They looked phenomenal, split 1. And coming into Stage 2, they just haven't quite looked the same. They've had their moments. Last week, a convincing win, but the week before in that winner's bracket game against Dallas Vendetta, things weren't so hot. They dropped that game, I think, to a lot of people's surprise. And yeah, they've got to keep fixing the issues they had there, and they've got to keep up last week's performance and still improve upon that. That second critical point, Ambi energy for the win. We know how hype he can be. We know how much of a contributor he can be to this team when he is popping off. And if all of this Wichita Wolves Academy roster can just get behind that level of energy, then they could have a very successful night. But it's not going to be easy. They do have their work cut out for them still.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of Wichita Wolves Academy's biggest target, it's going to be Mikey. Actually, one of the leaders in terms of rating when it comes to our league, if not in first. Of course, Ashen being the top rated from Wichita Wolves Academy, but not having quite as dominant of a stage as he had in Stage 1. Now, of course, his stats still very good. You know, he's got a positive rating above 1.15. He's still plus 20 on that KD differential with a nice 61% cost. But I mean, look at Mikey as the flex player, as one of the star fraggers for KARN and Co. I mean, Mikey was a point we used to hammer hone back when he was on Lenny GG. And now, ever since coming onto Livid/KARN and Co, he's had a really slow start, but really coming into his own. I don't know if maybe like he's getting a Feltwinter boost or whatever, but I mean, those stats speak for themselves. He has through and through been the star player, not just for this team, but one of the star players in our league. And we want to take a look at the maps. It's going to be Villa, Club, and Coast. So 2 very standard down-to-earth maps, but if we head to map 3, it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, 2 maps that we just saw in our previous series. That was, you know, a very thrilling series, by the way. West Garfield hanging on until the very last second. Of course, slipping away, though, on Clubhouse. And we're guaranteed to see Clubhouse here tonight, even if we don't end up going to that decider. But Wichita Wolves Academy, they are going to begin things on Villa. KARN and Co electing to defend. Should be an interesting place to begin. The ban of Chalet, the ban of Oregon right off the bat, I guess isn't that surprising. I think KARN and Co do not want to deal with the Wichita Wolves, the Wichita Wolves power on Chalet. So good to see that they took that one off the board. Before we get into our game here, a final look at our predictions. Everyone pretty much going behind the Wichita Wolves here. It's hard to not vote for the reigning champs. Ty likes to pick the losing team, and so he'll go with KARN & Co tonight.
Yes, thinking that I'm not on the Ty side of the prediction for this one, but if we want to look at the map in specificity, Villa is a little bit of an odd one. I mean, it makes sense that Wichita Wolves Academy have picked it. They've played it a couple times. They've shown that they're a good team on it. They've played it twice. They lost it to Dallas Vendetta 8-6. And then they turned around and won it against Judgment Day 7-1, even though, you know, Judgment Day was kind of trolling. So, I mean, we can kind of consider that an 0-1 record. In the meantime, though, KARN & Co have not played it once this stage just yet. So this is a little bit of a hidden one, maybe a hidden gem for KARN & Co, but as the band's rolling, we've got Thatcher, Flores, and Mira, all very standard. KARN & Co got the last, it'll probably be either Wamai or Valkyrie. Wamai just because Flores is banned, but I could see them, you know, keeping him up. And yeah, it'll be a Valkyrie ban. Do not want to deal with Wichita Wolves Academy with a Valk up, I can tell you that.
Yeah, here are the 4 standard bans that we have seen almost every single map of SCS, it really feels like. And so we are going to head into Villa with both of these teams being pretty comfortable with how they are going to approach it. Again, this is, of course, Wichita Wolves map pick right off the bat, and so KARN & Co elected to defend, and so that is where they will start off the night. A good old-fashioned Aviator in Games defense with, you know, a pretty standard lineup in front of us. On the side of this attack, we've got a couple of interesting components, namely the fact that Reed, I was gonna say, sixed off the Hibana to the Maverick, but he'll change his mind, and I do think that is a smart choice. Keeping that ranged hard breach is generally going to be a bit more important when it comes to a map like Villa. But another interesting tidbit is you've got the Buck in play, an operator that we don't see very often, but when we do, it often dictates what the attacking team's plan is going to be. When you see the Buck, you think hard destruction, that skeleton key, the way it can just tear through soft floors, and in this case, an Aviator in Game site that is entirely soft destructible from below, that is likely to be Wichita Wolves Academy's plan. They'll enter from below, applying pressure as much as they can from downstairs.
Yeah, that Buck is going to be oh so important to make sure a lot of anchor positions, such as behind bar, such as inside of vault, are nearly unplayable for this defense. Now, in dropping the sledge for the Buck, you do lose 1 set of nades, but you still got 2 in the side of Ashen and Asian. And hey, if Ambi wanted to as well, he could go ahead and establish some vertical destruction. And actually, speaking of Ambi, he's not on a role that we're used to him being on, right? Typically, we see him on something like a Nomad, those cutoff roles, those flank watch roles, but instead, he's actually on Zoe here, and I'm a little bit excited. Ambi has been one of the star performers for Wichita Academy so far. I mean, you were talking about Ambi energy. We've seen him clutch up so many rounds, and now that he's on the 150, I can't wait to see what he's capable of.
Yeah, the fragging potential of, honestly, both of these rosters can get pretty insane when everyone is feeling themselves, or at least when, you know, a couple of players, the ones who you need to be stepping up, are indeed, you know, finding those kills and doing so rather quickly. You know, speaking of expeditious attacks, that's exactly what we've got here from the Wichita Wolves. Spiff is already in the building and using that skeleton key much as we would have predicted. A little bit of pressure being applied to main stairs, but here is where the nade could come in clutch. Asian's got the ping he needs. A nade cooked and prepped, but he'll take a little bit of damage, just a random spray through the floor above, and that actually is going to miss.
Oh, that's the hard floor.
Yep, that is not going to work too well for him. And so, yeah, now you're in a position where you didn't get that opening kill. You do light up Mikey a ton. Now he's cut down to practically 1 HP, but the Wolves still looking to get a kill from below. The next nade tossed up from Ashen. That is perfectly on the mark, although it is onto the Goya, who was already lit up.
Yeah, but what it does do is it takes out a C4. Now, Wichita Wolves Academy do still have 1 nade left, so they could find, you know, a piece of utility or another kill with that if, you know, it lands correctly and not on a hard floor, which I actually forgot about as well. So, you know, Asian, I feel you there, but it might just be a rush up main. Ashen is prepping for it, but Felwinter takes the first kill on Spiff, and Ashen gets cut down from the floor holes from behind bar. A lack of coverage there from Wichita Wolves Academy and a lack of a clear will punish them, but Ambi's able to get the trades. 2 for Xeno's 1, and we've evened up the man count. 2 versus 2 heading to the last minute. It's Xeno and Carnage B, though, the two SAS operators. Perfect kits for holding this site down with how tight it can be. Those shotguns and SMG-11s are going to come in handy. Carnage B actually with the FMG-9, so he's got a bit more range to work with. Also sending out those gas canisters to delay time, but he'll just be cut down by Reed. Xeno wastes his C4 as well. Plant is going down, and now he's got no way to deny it. Reed, though, is alone in the site, but luckily for them, Xeno is backed off all the way towards game, so nothing much he can do about that plant. It'll go down, and Ambi now covering his teammates cross as Reed is just prone behind that table, watching and waiting for Xeno to try and crouch through. He'll send a pre-fire in, but it'll at least alert Wichita Wolves Academy that he's not going for any kind of crazy flank. And as he tries to crouch to this rotate, Ambi's watching his angle. He takes a lot of damage before Reed pops up and finishes him. And though the main stairs clear was not necessarily as well as it was planned, Wichita Wolves Academy still win their first attack.
Yeah, just one round in, but a lot we can learn from our opening attack from Wichita Wolves Academy, namely that 2v2 situation really felt like it favored the defense. KARN and Co had, those two SAS operators still alive. It was the smoke and the mute, a C4 in pocket, and all of the toxic smoke. In a situation like that with 45 seconds to go, it looks defender-sided almost every single time. But what Wichita Wolves did beautifully there is isolate those 1v1s. They found the smoke using the intel they had. I looked at the drone counter when the plant had gone down, 6 drones remaining at that point in the round. Their intel game, gorgeous. That allowed them to isolate the smoke. Reed was able to push in and take that 1v1, ending up winning that 1v1 before those smokes could even get utilized. And that right there is enough to win you the round. Taking down one of those core components of that plant denial, you leave the last player isolated in the wrong site. You had a drone staring right at him, and that meant that Ambi did not have to put himself into an uncomfortable spot either. He could sit back, covering the plant from afar, again, because they had the intel on where those defenders were positioned. Really good patience and a surprising amount of maturity from that attack in that 2v2 situation, and that put them over the edge.
Yeah, the info game was definitely something that was lacking in their loss to Dallas Vendetta, so nice to see that, at least maybe that issue has been amended. And you can say, there were pings on the Jaeger of Whitlock earlier, even though, the nade went into an indestructible floor that wasn't great, but they had info on Whitlock, they had info on Mikey. You saw pings going on Xeno towards the latter half of that round. Unfortunately, Xeno, if he still had that nitro cell in pocket, Ambi was so far away that could have come down to an even 1v1, but throwing it towards Books just kind of sealed his fate there. But Wichita Wolves Academy, they're going to be attacking a different site. It's trophy statuary, but they're still bringing that buck, and they're still going to be clearing bottom up. So more nade kills to be had for sure, though that shield on bricks they're going to have to clear laterally. They're also a shield in bathroom, which they can, in fact, get from below. Some castle barricades they'll have to deal with as well. No sledge means that it'll probably come down to either the breaching torch of Reed or the charges from Ambi. The swap onto a Maverick is interesting as well. Considering trophy, I guess maybe afraid of a Cade pick, perhaps. And if the original strategy from Wichita Wolves Academy was to clear below anyway, then that, Maverick isn't going to be susceptible to C4.
Well, we just saw there Spiff meleeing the heck out of a castle barricade, and that kind of happens. That amount of time waste happens when you bring the buck over the sledge. Arguably a stronger, soft, destructive operator, but again, you miss out on the opportunity to use that breaching hammer to slam open a castle barricade. So because of that, it may take Wichita Wolves a little bit more time to get into the building, but now that they're in position, it's just about dealing with this utility, and that is Asian's job from below, already expending both of those frag grenades and taking down a couple of deployable shields while he was at it. Still, all 5 players up in this lobby, but as I say that, Reed will take the opening gunfight, finding his 3rd kill just on round 2, and that is going to be on to the Wamai of Xeno.
Yeah, well done to Reed for really taking the initiative to take closet control, but the nade goes down. Oh, that was scary, but luckily Feltwinter had an ADS to cover him. Spiff challenging the hole made by the defense in the main breach will take a lot of damage, and Feltwinter covers his own back, able to kill Asian. Spiff as well, missing some key shots over towards Trophy, allows Mikey to survive for a little bit longer, and now less than 50 seconds left. Wichita Wolves Academy are stuck in a 4v 4v4. More nades go out, but then Wamai, dead, still able to influence this round with the diss. Ashen is the next to fall, but luckily there's a trade from Ambi, and Ashen, well, he is that Finka, so he can res himself. Mikey as well has dipped out of the site and is now holding Ambi's cross from 90. Not quite sure if the Zofia is aware of that. He'll walk in and die, but Ashen gets 2 for the price of that 1. Mikey lands a nasty shot into that Finka. Spiff is searching for the trade, now healed up from his earlier damage by that Finka, but he knows where Mikey is, tucked inside a boar. All he's got to do is try and pre-fire, but this castle has escaped, and Mikey landing the 1-tap, a 3K for the castle, saving the round for KARN and Co.
Okay, that is a hell of a round from Mikey. We highlighted him as the player to watch, the big threat that Wichita Academy needed to take down, and a failure to kill him in round 2 lost them the round. It's as simple as that. He'll take care of the majority of that attack single-handedly, even in a situation that looked rather dire for KARN and Co. You know, that 2v1 in those last few seconds. I mean, I talked about how Wichita Academy was able to isolate the 1v1s in that first round. Well, Mikey was able to find those individual attackers and just take them out before the trades could be found. I mean, Spiff nearly was able to get that trade in from that master to statuary doorway, but just could not find the headshot. And Mikey did a 1-tap from behind the bomb chassis straight, you know, onto that position by the boar window. And, you know, Spiff is done for. The attack is done for. So Wichita Academy not able to chain 2 attacks in a row. Good adjustment and quite a performance there from Mikey to put KARN and Co. over the top. And because of that, they're going to, you know, head things back to Aviator and Games to try this one again.
Good timing as well for that rotate. I like how he didn't want to risk taking the close range engagement with the Buck and Boar, because Boar is such a small area. If Buck had a skeleton key out, yeah, Spiff probably wins that 9 times out of 10, but Mikey backing all the way off, taking that close angle. Very well done. And, well, KARN and Co. will go back to AVG. Wichita Wolves Academy, I imagine, aren't just going to blindly rush up main once again. And, well, Jonah, we have a Nook pick from Asian. So, well, you might have a little bit less info than with that Iana and her clones and such. There's no Aruni that you have to worry about burning, so there is that. And Asian does still bring frag grenades. That's the strength of the Nook, is that Nook can stick with the team at the beginning of the round, use her nades, and then kind of go for a cheeky flank, but it looks like Asian is going to start off trying to make that sneaky play. Completely diverted from the rest of the team. Maybe looking to come up red?
Yeah, the one worry here is that the intel game could be a little bit weaker. Of course, the Gemini clones, generally we see them used pretty often to just burn Rooney gates, but I mean, they do present a good, valuable source of intel. You can run around a corner full speed, and if you don't get swung on by a defender, you know, thinking there's a person there, bam, there you go. You know the area's clear. Obviously, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but Asian's going to have to do clearing the good old-fashioned way by just clearing corners, drones at his feet, and trying to make a move, possibly from behind. Not up red, but potentially up Astro. He's going for quite a wide rotation, but I suspect KARN and Co. are not going to be too caught off guard by that. It is generally a pretty typical spot for an attacking team to push through, and right now all Asian is doing is just sitting on the other side of the map and baiting his team while they do the rest of the work. Again, the focus for Wichita Academy is going to be the nades in this early round. It's going to be applying pressure from below, but they've got to figure out something else to deal with this main stairs clear. They died. Several players died to this clear last time. They could not force Feltwinter off. This time, that problem, I guess we'll still say the same. No, that grenade was not able to take care of the shield, so Wichita Academy's still struggling here.
And these gas grenades are going to delay them even further. We're probably going to need Asian to make some big impact in the latter half of this round if Wichita Wolves Academy want to take it. Finally, Ambi will do away with the shield, but Feltwinter will stay supporting this main stairs push. Ambi looking like he wants to just walk up and take this fight, and he will, but he'll lose it to Felt. Trade comes in from Ashen, make it another for the LMG, and Asian finally makes his presence known with a third. A 4v2 now for Wichita Wolves Academy. I mean, hell, it took them a lot of time, but now this manpower might be enough to do in the defense. That one, my sound glitch is a little bit annoying, but as Whitlock dies, that brings us closer to the end of this round, and closer to the end of that sound bug. Zeno is now the last one in the 1v4, and wow, Ashen will just pre-fire him away. Well done to Wichita Wolves Academy, especially Asian, timing his flank just when the attack needed it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the flank was important, but it certainly wasn't, you know, the round-winning component. It really was the fact that Wichita Academy were able to tidy up that main stairs clear. Maybe it took them a while and they did get a face full of toxic smoke, but they were eventually able to push their way up from that position with the assistance of a nice kill from Asian from behind. You kind of caught KARN & Co. in a bit of a mad scramble. They didn't have any real secure positions on the site, and any position that they thought may have been secure all of a sudden wasn't, when they discovered, wait a second, there are attackers on both sides of us. We've got a random nook just kind of sneaking through the hallways here. We've got a bunch of these attackers pushing up main stairs, working their way into study, and at some point that pressure just became too overwhelming. So another strong attack there from Wichita Academy. I'd argue, much more dominant than their previous Aviator and Games attack. And so KARN & Co., I suspect, they're not going to want to try that site any longer. We might see it a little bit later if it comes to it, but for now, they're going to go to Kitchen and Dining to see if a new site choice is in the cards for them.
Yeah, I will say, though, looking at Wichita Wolves Academy's future, perhaps, in further Villa games and even this map, if KARN & Co. end up going AVG again, they need to shore up their utility clear on the main stairs. It has not been good so far. It's either come down to simply walking up and getting that trade after a whole bunch of utility is used, and then that round, it was both. It was a lot of utility used, finally clearing the shield. It took them a long ass time, and it cost them a body. It cost them Ambi. And Wichita Wolves Academy are a team that we talk about, having a lot of young guns, that fresh fragger presence, but still having a surprising amount of structure when it comes to things like utility clear. But for some reason on main stairs, it just isn't clicking. So hopefully, like I said, Wichita Academy are able to fix that later in this map. But, unless KARN & Co. are able to win Trophy and Dining 2 in a row, they're probably not going to go AVG again.
Ambi having a lot of trouble with the 90 cam. I think he'll finally make sure to take care of that while he looks for support from the rest of his team. Wichita Academy, they... Unfortunate there for Mikey, but I guess Wichita Academy, they'll be looking to clear out this top floor, which will now be made easier because one of these KARN & Co. defenders has left the lobby. And because of that, KARN & Co. no longer have the leeway and the ability to extend on this top floor and stay here for much longer. Wichita Academy actually seizing this opportunity to go a bit more direct. Ambi still pressuring from above, but Ashen on the first floor will get the opening kill onto Feltwinter. Whitlock falls soon after, and now, putting KARN & Co. in a very uncomfortable 2v5 situation. You've got KARN with the intel to work with the heartbeat sensor, but without only really many defenders to help you in this endeavor. Only one C4 from Xeno. It is going to be very tough to get anything done. Xeno playing close on this China door, shotgun in hand, and successfully downs and finishes Asian, but still a two-man disadvantage. He's hunting for these kills. He knows he's got to play aggressive in order to equalize. But that time, for Wichita Academy, now they're going to leverage it to their advantage as much as they can. No longer going for an aggressive push like Asian was a moment ago. Instead, well, I guess Ashen may be going a bit more direct, but the rest of the team is going top down.
Yeah, that disconnect from Mikey really weakening the top floor hold there is super unfortunate for KARN & Co. Ashen re-aggressing up the opposite staircase does catch Xeno off guard. That leaves it all down to the Pulse. He'll get one, but unfortunately the UMP, it's measly damage. Not enough to cut through Ambi as well. And unfortunately, we will need a rehost to get Mikey back in the lobby. But if we want to talk about that round a little more, not only not a rehost, just a pause, but not only was Mikey's disconnect making the top floor a little bit more viable, the kill on the horizontal weakening the anchor game as well. Splitting your defense, one up top, two on the bottom against 5, not a great position to be in. And I do like the decision from Ashen, once he and Asian, trying to make a fast push through China, was watching it, which I guess they didn't expect, and Ashen immediately backed off, went to pantry, and relied, a lot on Spiff bucking above and kind of funneling, that defender towards him. Really smart play there towards the end by Ashen. Of course, KARN, 1v4 at the UMP, never an enviable situation.
No, and unfortunate as well that Mikey, the player who was that powerhouse that won KARN & Co. the round on, in that trophy and statuary site, which is a core component of the kitchen and dining defense. Unfortunate that he was the one to actually get forcibly removed from the lobby. And of course, as much as that sucks for KARN & Co., a little pat on the back maybe for Wichita Academy for exploiting it nicely. They knew the weakness that KARN & Co then had. It wasn't simply a kill, it was a kill on a site that depends on your ability as a defense to stretch that manpower as thin as it will go, to delay as much time, to waste that utility, because once you've got a buck on the attacking team and you get that top floor control, I mean, it takes 2 seconds to get the rest of that floor opened up. The defense can do nothing downstairs. And so Wichita Academy, they then stretch their own manpower pretty thin, both applying presence to the top floor and the first floor directly to make sure KARN & Co could never feel comfortable.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the big thing about KARN & Co as well. I know some people have criticized them in the past for being a team that if they lose the first couple bodies, they tend to flounder. Especially on their attacks, less so on their defense, but it's still kind of there. They're a very by-the-books team, it seems like. So when stuff doesn't go exactly their way, they can struggle to adapt, and I kind of fear for them, especially against a team like Wichita Wolves Academy, who are a tough team to prep for because of how, wild they can be. And, they're already up 3-1 on their attack. At worst, they tie this half, and we know how much disrupting power they can have on their defense when you have people like Asian on the Vigil, Ambi on the Alibi, Ashen on anything, really, for that matter. And if KARN & Co can't take this 3-3 half, I worry for them.
Yeah, they've got quite the uphill battle in this defensive side alone, and then God knows, what they're going to run into when they shift over to that attacking side if they cannot bridge this gap. Villa, as we've seen so far in SCS, I mean, it is leaning, I believe, slightly defender-sided, but it really does go those even 50 splits pretty often. So in either case, KARN & Co need 2 rounds. 1 round isn't sufficient. 2 rounds is, the bare minimum to really shift into that next half and have any confidence at all. This is Wichita Academy's map pick, and that can be kind of KARN & Co's solace. That can be where their fans say, you know what, it's fine, we move into Clubhouse next and we can be a little bit stronger. But in a series that it's playoffs, you don't get a second chance anymore. You do not want to start out like this.
And speaking of not getting second chances, unfortunately, it appears as if Mikey's power has gone out. Now, Jonah, I know you and I both being in the EST time zone, there is a winter storm going on, and it is quite a doozy. Wow, I haven't used the word doozy in a while, but it's bad. And Mikey, if I'm not mistaken, lives in Pennsylvania, which is getting hit very hard. So I imagine the snowstorm is to blame for that. We are going to wait the full duration of the technical pause, though, just to see if he can get back. I don't know if KARN & Co have a sub they can use if Mikey can't get power return. But we are going to pray, because if this match ends up being, having an unfortunate ending because Mikey lost power, I'll be really sad, because I was really looking forward to this game.
That would suck. I mean, this one is supposed to be, every single playoff match we've got in front of us is going to be insane, but I really was expecting this one to go the distance. The way KARN & Co have been playing, I mean, it seems like a huge step up from last stage. And we're looking at Wichita Academy, a team that hasn't quite been their former selves. Theoretically, this should be a dead even heat, with really the team who comes out on top tonight paving their way forward, making a statement for the rest of the playoffs. We've got semis and we've got finals coming up, within the day or two. So these teams have got to get a move on. But yeah, fingers crossed that Mikey can get back in here, because he's been having a good game. We've seen a lot of people stepping up where they need to, but the question remains, will we get to see it through? We're just waiting on confirmation, I think, of exactly when he is going to get back. Just waiting on hearing. Hopefully some of the players on KARN & Co have communication with him, have some clarity about this situation. But as we've seen in the last really week and a half, we've seen quite a couple of storms that have come rolling up this way, and unforgiving in terms of the power outages, especially if you're living in some areas.
Yeah, right now, at least in Indiana, it is 19 degrees out, and there's a storm warning, and we have several inches of snow. I think they said they were estimating like 18 inches or something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if Pennsylvania is equally as bad. I mean, I'm already blessed that this power and internet hasn't gone out just yet. But yeah, we are waiting for... Oh, okay. I was going to say, I think the admin decision was to have, you know, Carnicle play with 4 if they couldn't get Mikey back. But Carnage B has just messaged the team chat, power is back. So all we got to do is give Mikey time to set up. Hopefully his internet is okay as well. And, you know, we just got to wait a couple minutes for Mikey to get everything all sorted. And hopefully we can resume this game. Even better is we might be able to do it without a rehost.
We'll see. I mean, you never know.
We'll see.
Getting back in the lobby is always pretty iffy, especially if you're gone for
Yeah.
this period of time, it seems. So fingers crossed again on that issue. But honestly, it's weird that you guys over in Indiana, you guys are cold. Up here in Boston, we got slammed with 2 feet of snow just last weekend, and now it's like 48. It's like a summer day up here. It is raining constantly, but it is really nice and warm. So
See, that's how it was.
Wild.
That's how it was before the snowstorm. We had like actually during the beginning of the storm, it was like 38 or something like that. So it was raining, and then they got my hopes up. The weather got my hopes up, and then it turned cold, and now it's just been snowing the entire time. It's times like these where I really regret having to take care of a dog, because having to walk a dog in that snowstorm, I mean,
Yeah.
he can barely walk in it. Imagine how I feel as a person who only owns 1 pair of shoes, and they're Converse. So
You have longer legs, though. It makes it a little bit easier to
it does, but I don't have fur, so that kind of I don't have a lot of meat on me either, so I don't have a lot of insulation. I get really cold. But yeah, we're just gonna chill. No break. We don't need a break. We're just gonna chill and talk while we wait for Mikey, because he's got to wait for internet to boot him. Sometimes that takes a while. But thank you all for bearing with us. We love you guys. And hopefully, you know, we can get back to this match soon. I know in the there's 600 people watching us mess around, Jonah. Can you believe that?
I cannot, but also I kind of can. We've got a pretty devoted fan base. People have been tuning in recently. But yeah, do hope Mike gets back in soon, because I would like to see this game continue. And honestly, other than that, I'm gonna have to get a snack if he doesn't come around soon. I mean, gotta dig around in my desk for some more Mike and Nikes, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of, what better time to talk about one of our sponsors? Actually, I think it's Mavix's turn. Jonah, while we wait, of course, you know, it's the winter season. You're gonna be spending a lot of time inside, so why not spend it sitting in a Mavix gaming chair? The all-new M4 gaming chair, you can go on their site and buy for as low as $22.22 a month. You go to Mavix.com/NerdStreetGamers to see all their deals in stock. And Mavix, you know, again, being the winter months, Mavix even has an add-on that you can buy that adds a heater to your chair. It's like a seat warmer in your car, but at your desk. It's sick. Thank you, Mavix, for being a proud NSG sponsor, the official chair partner of not only ours, but for local host as well. So, you know, if your butt ever gets chilly, which mine right now isn't, because I've been sitting in one spot for a decent bit, but you know, you can get those heaters. You can even get air conditioners for your chair as well. But speaking of sitting, Serena's chair, sometimes not the most comfortable. I will admit, she's going to get mad at me for saying that. Her chair out there, though, is comfy. She's even got a heated blanket. Someone bought a heated blanket for her. I'm so jealous.
That's great.
Actually, speaking of heat, I've been wearing outside, instead of a jacket, Serena has this giant, you know, Snuggies?
Mm-hmm.
She has this giant Snuggie, and it's like the cold doesn't exist. It's incredible. So I recommend, if anyone has to ever like walk their dog or something in this weather, get a Snuggie. It's awesome.
Well, I'll actually look into that. But it turns out we will be taking a brief break.
Ah, damn.
Yes, unfortunately, it's come to
unpause.
that time. We're going to get Mikey back in this lobby. When we come back, hopefully we will dive right back into this series. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for your patience and for sticking with us. We are pleased to announce that Mikey has returned. We have all 10 players back in the lobby. The rehost is all good. I just believe they are currently in a tack timeout, so we only need to wait a minute and we can get right back into the match.
Yeah, after Mikey has returned, they want to take some time to talk things over with their coach, work out any kinks, as we talked a good bit about before all of the rehost shenanigans. KARN and Co, they're down 1-3 right now. It's Villa defense, and they need to put together a couple more rounds here. This timeout, this extended timeout, hopefully they've had time to work out some of those kinks. They can go into these next few rounds with a cohesive plan of attack because they need one. Wichita Academy, they are looking fierce on the attacking side, and they don't appear to be slowing down anytime soon.
No, their entries, although in a couple of the rounds it's taken a little while to get there, the fact that they're always in step with each other, the trade game has been there this entire match thus far, with maybe the exception of the loss, but even then they had things pretty even in most of that round. You know, that came down to a 1v1 between Mikey and Spiff, and the time was just not in Spiff's favor. So a lot of the issues that we had highlighted that were plaguing Wichita Academy against Dallas Vendetta, they've appeared to be fixed, at least thus far. And now, heading back to KARN & Co.'s defense, they're going back to AVG.
I love this.
I don't know about this. They've defended this in round 1. They defended it in round 3, and both times they got destroyed by what was initially a pretty poor main clear. But once Wichita Wolves Academy actually get up those main stairs, everything falls into their favor.
And I only expect that main clear to be a little bit more refined this time around. I mean, we've seen them practice it a couple of times. It improved from the first time to the second. And if that pattern is to continue here, KARN & Co are going to have to make some adjustments elsewhere if they want to win this round. Unusual that we don't see them go back to Trophy and Statuary, a site that they have won and a site that is now unlocked, given that they played it and won it in round number 2. 3 rounds later, they could, in theory, head back to that area, but they are electing to go for a tough one. Going to make some adjustments. Maybe they're worried that the Wichita Academy adjustments on the Trophy and Statuary site would overwhelm their defense anyway. Suppose only time will tell exactly what KARN & Co do on this site. You do have Whitlock playing on the red stairs, trying to maintain control of 90. And Wichita Academy, much like their attacks in previous rounds, we don't see them just going upstairs and entering through that master side. They're initializing their contact in this map on the first floor before eventually working their way up to the second.
It is interesting that Reed has been sticking on the Maverick instead of the Hibana that he only played in round 1, but I guess they're incentivizing those nades over the ranged hard breach. But they are pushing horizontal this time, and well, at least in the beginning of this round, it's not going to work out in their favor. Mikey actually not only gets the initial pick on the Asian, but he picks up his shield and dashes away, even though there's someone either right in bore or right outside the window who could have been in position for the refrag. But instead, Mikey gets away scot-free. Ambi is now just looking forlorn down the hallway at his teammates kill her. And Wichita Wolves Academy swapping up the strategy has only suffered a loss thus far.
A bit unusual to see them shift this strategy up when they do have an operator lineup geared up for a lot of vertical pressure. Not to say that Spiff isn't applying that pressure, but it certainly hasn't been the priority for Wichita Academy. Spiff is actually on this second floor with the rest of the team. This skeleton key has been completely useless in this round, and I don't expect it to get any more use unless Wichita Academy do some sort of massive 180 pivot. They do have a crossfire on Aviator right now. They have a possible opportunity here to push into the site. Now that Reed gets that kill onto Feltwinter, I mean, now not only are we back even in terms of the man count, but now the opportunity for Wichita Academy to step up has arrived. Reed gets a second kill, a beautiful nade onto Whitlock. No coverage from Wamai Magnets all the way back in that vault, and that will result in the death of the second defender off the board. Reed is now behind the maps table in the site. No C4 from Zeno or Mikey, or any toxic smokes to suggest that the defense knows about this. Now you've lost Karn for good. Spiff on the coverage takes down Zeno, and it is all up to Mikey now. Spiff will go for the swing, a beautiful pre-fire, and that will seal the round. Wichita Academy, they roll through the top floor with a little bit of difficulty again, but the mid-round adjustments they have made have been resulting in some wonderful executes. Another attacking round that goes their way.
That play, I mean, that adjustment specifically from Reed Sync as well was beautiful. Not only hitting an incredible shot against Feltwinter on the main stairs, that one did not stand a chance, but the follow-up nade onto Whitlock, that is unfortunately the weakness of putting a lot of stake into main stairs and having the attackers go to the complete opposite side. A lot of those deniers are going to be, a lot of the denial is going to be wasted, especially with the ADS being exposed to the study door. I guess, you know, they didn't expect someone to vault into study. You know, the ADS easily gets shot, and that nade to follow up kills Whitlock. Reed as well, taking the initiative to walk into the bomb site, despite Mikey being in vault, not actively holding that shield and playing passive, might have lost his team the round, because as soon as Reed gets in behind maps, starts that plant, you'd see KARN and Co. have to go for a mad dash to try and deny. I mean, Spiff catches one with a C4 in hand, and the round just goes to hell for KARN & Co. Wichita Wolves Academy showing that, you know, even though their rounds might not start out the best, the sheer talent of this roster, as CJ always loves to call out, you know, the talent, the athleticism of this roster, their pure fragging capability can still win for them.
Wichita Academy continuing to impress on this attacking side. It seems that they picked Villa for a reason, and they feel quite comfortable here. KARN & Co. less so, and based on this defensive performance, Harrison, I frankly don't have too much confidence in their attacking side either. Whether their understanding of this map just isn't quite up to par with Wichita Academy's understanding, or simply just not clicking tonight. Hard to say, but it is pretty clear, and we can say that Wichita Academy are dominating this map right now. KARN & Co., if they can get one more round, if they can get 2 out of those 6 defensive rounds, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It would still be something, but it may not be enough regardless. That's the last hope they really have, though. They go down 1-5, and that is definitely not a winnable situation for most teams. So as Wichita Academy just make a pretty direct entry here, KARN & Co. will have to challenge this head-on as well.
Wichita Wolves Academy, again, beginning their clear. It was rough by main stairs, and this was the defense that KARN & Co. was able to win, so this is their last opportunity to go for that 4-2 half, but Ambi is pushed all the way up to Master Wall. KARN & Co., I'm not sure if they're aware of this. Zeno is still playing around it. He'll avoid the nade that's sent into Bricks, but now Ambi, hugging the corner of the doorway, gets that first frag. Mikey lands a nasty shot, though, to refrag his teammate, keeping us even, but OMI for Azo this early in the round might just be better for the attack. Spiff, yet another kill onto Carnage B. Asian trying to duo push up. Astro might catch Feltwinter's back. There is someone now in range for trade potential if that Jaeger is properly covering himself, as Ashen continues to send nades from below. Reedsing spin down, but there's that Finka boost to pick him up. Unfortunately, he can't get all the way up, but Asian is there for the trade, and now Astro might fall into the favor of the attack, especially as Mikey dies, leaving Whitlock alone, and now a 1 versus 2.
Yeah, until the kill from Whitlock there, Mikey was the only player on KARN & Co. with frags since the rehost, but now Whitlock has found the scoreboard. Has to find it 2 more times, though, and Asian is not going to let that happen. Wichita Academy dominating on the attack, a 5-1 lead at the half.
KARN & Co. now attacking, and I worry for them just a bit. Again, we see how much disruptive power that Wichita Wolves Academy have in their defense time and time again. And while KARN & Co., you know, have been nothing short of thorough so far in this league, the way they're playing right now is not the KARN & Co. that we're used to seeing. I don't know if maybe this is, again, like you had mentioned a few rounds prior, maybe Wichita Wolves Academy just having a much deeper understanding of Villa than KARN & Co., but right now, this is not who we've seen in Stage 2 so far. So KARN either need to wake up, or they need to, at this point, say, as Carter likes to say, GG go next, and forget about Villa, because this has been a disaster. And now they swap to attack. They're bringing Whitlock on the Nomad, Zeno on Twitch, a couple odd operators, not a lot of nades to speak of except between Mikey and Feltwinter, Wichita Wolves Academy, of course, bringing that alibi, only instead of Ambi on it, it's Reed Sync. Curiously enough, a little bit odd not to see Ambi on one of his favorite operators, but it looks like Wichita Wolves Academy, I mean, they want to meet KARN & Co. head on and are setting up downstairs.
I like the decision to bring the Nomad. I think KARN & Co. are going to be reading into this Wichita Academy defense nicely in terms of that operator pick. You just see the alibi in play. You know how Wichita Academy like to play their defenses, and you expect to encounter a lot of roam presence, a lot of direct resistance from the defense, something that those air jabs can help you get under control. The Twitch may not help in the same way. I mean, you get the intel from her drones and, of course, the opportunity to work their way into the site, deal damage to some of that utility, and possibly take care of some Vulcan shields. But to do that, they've got to get in the building first, and that is not going to be easy, especially because Wichita Academy are contesting kitchen and dining on this first floor entry. That is going to be the role of Asian, who has actually since backed off a little bit and is closer to those Astro stairs if he wants to make a quick retreat. He's also going to be supported by Spiff on that Jaeger, just to make sure that if somebody does go down, a trade could come soon after. A minute in, and KARN & Co. are making some progress into the map. They've successfully cleared out this kitchen and dining position, which is really half the battle as they make their entry inside. So a good start for this attack. A lot of work to do, of course, but they're already applying top floor pressure as well. Nice place to be right now.
They're still going to have to deal with Asian later in the round, though, who is roaming on the other side of the map now, as well as a duo in Astro. It's Spiff and Reed holding down this position. Actually, I didn't even notice Asian on the top floor as well, though. That Twitch drone will quickly deal with the Electro Claw, opening up Master, and Carnage V has a long angle through into Astro split. So if that player wants to fall back, he will have to vault into Carpet. Ashen will likely do so soon, unless he just wants to stay up here for as long as possible. There are 3 defenders up here after all. I mean, KARN & Co., the site is pretty open considering the lack of anchors there, but wow! Reed just swings on a Mikey wide over the shield and takes our first pick, killing not only the star performer, but also the sledge.
Yeah, now KARN & Co. are in a bit of a pickle, and Zeno is walking in, and he just has no idea what he's encountering on the other side. Spiff will go for the swing, get 2 kills. Right. Asian and Ashen both collect 1, and that is a flawless round for the Wolves on their first defense. KARN & Co., it really does seem like what you said, Harrison, the GG go next. It is all but over for KARN & Co. here on Villa. They've just got to set their sights on the next map of Clubhouse. Something that I always like to add, I know Carter has his GG go next saying, but I always like to say that just winning a couple of rounds here, even if you're committed to losing the map at this point, just winning 2 rounds before Wichita Academy end up taking match point is still pretty important. Like, you can't underscore that enough. Like, the fact that if KARN & Co. can just get a couple of rounds, get some momentum going to their side, maybe remind themselves what it feels like to win a round. They haven't done it since round 2 of this map. And again, a big, pretty like 20-minute rehost in the middle there. It's been quite some time. And so just to get a couple of rounds under their belt to win a round here and there, they could go into Clubhouse and they could feel a lot better about themselves. And at some point, you take every advantage you can get. Against a team like Wichita Academy, you are just reaching for scraps in terms of advantages you can get. KARN & Co., they need that energy back, and they could start redeeming themselves with a couple of rounds here. Of course, it's not easy, especially when you're down this bad, but Wichita Academy, they're headed to Kitchen and Dining. This is generally considered one of the tougher sites to defend successfully instead of, something like Aviator and Games, but KARN & Co., they have to prove that they are capable of taking care of these roamers and getting the frags as well.
Yeah, I mean, while the GG Go Next strategy is certainly probably in play, I do agree, taking a couple rounds could help the mental game, because let's not forget, if not for a Mikey 3K clutch, this may very well have been a 7-0. And I mean, Wichita Wolves Academy are playing aggressively. The Malusi of Ashen swinging onto the study repel of all positions. He and Mikey will avoid shots. They'll evade each other for now, and Malusi will be allowed to fall back, but they still have to deal with this roam. It's going to be both the Malusi and Ambi on Mozzie duoing up here, but no. As I say that, it looks like the two players will be just as quick to fall back, not really wanting to pressure this. I mean, the site is dining after all, so it's understandable that, well, they do want to roam, just kind of shooting some drones and quickly falling back towards the AVG sides to shore up their trophy roam is probably the smarter option.
Well, on the trophy side, they've got an advantage, like a huge advantage that they don't have on the other side of the map, and that is Reed sitting down below as the Pulse with the heartbeat sensor, right? You don't have his support if you're all the way on that second floor at the Aviator and Game side of the map, but if you're just standing up above, you will have advance notice before any attacker comes creeping your way, and that is why we are seeing Wichita Academy back that roam off a little, but still keep that extension on the top floor. KARN and Co, though, are not feeding into the strategy. It feels like Wichita Academy are wanting them to. Instead, we're seeing quite a horizontal approach here from KARN and Co, and it's going to work in getting them that first kill onto Ambi.
Well done to KARN and Co for getting their first opening pick since round 5. I believe they are now 3 and 4, I think, on the entry. Yeah, 3 and 4. The math checks out. And while they do kill Ambi, that is a C4 off the board, they have as well established those cutoff angles horizontally through Memo, making rotating through that room, you know, a big power position, way more dangerous for the defense, though Asian is lurking about in the hallway by clock. Wall is soft right next to KARN, as Reed finds Feltwinter to even up the man count. KARN and Co don't have this advantage anymore. The Hibana, though, simply rushes into Memo, but he's stuck in the Banshee. Now the sound call has been called out, likely from this defense. Asian and KARN will trade out. Mikey, another kill to swing the man count towards his team's favor by 1, but he is very lit up in the process. Likely to die in just 1 or 2 bullets, but Ashen and Asian's guns are P shooters. In comes the Hibana once again of KARN. He's got that diffuser. He wants to get it down, but as he rushes in, they don't know about Ashen still in laundry. Asian takes a little bit of damage as his teammate gets cut down in sight. Now it's all up to that alibi. He'll get 1 and the second. A 1v2 clutch there for Asian means that it's a dominant 7-1 win on Villa for Wichita Academy.
The one round where it looked like KARN and Co were going to take it, I was finally feeling, you know what, good. They've got some of that chutzpah back. They can take some rounds. They can push into the site. But no, not at all. It was shut down by Asian, the alibi, without a care in the world, taking fights with the MX4 Storm, feeling quite confident in doing so, and really putting up some impressive numbers, even since the rehost. I mean, Wichita Academy bragging out pretty damn consistently, and that is the beautiful thing about this team, is that they do not slow down. You can throw a tech pause at them, you can throw a tac pause at them, whatever it is. I mean, they're feeling good. 7-1 is a very clean start.
Yeah, beautiful stuff, and KARN and Co showing us a lot of issues that they've had in Stage 1 in Challenger League, and they just don't look like the same team we've seen earlier in Stage 2, but we'll see if they can fix their issues on their own map pick. Fear not, KARN and Co fans, while it was dominant, while it didn't look great, this was their opponent's map pick, so not too much to worry unless they look just as bad on Clubhouse. Then, you know, you might start shaking in your boots a little bit, but of course we'll have to go to a break before we see them play it. Stick around, we'll have map number 2 just after this.
Have to get aggressive. Reed's looking for it, and he'll get it.
Have to push for the kill. Have to kill the Malusi.
Transfers on 1-3. What action! It's high noon. There's the 1v2. It's 5-1 for CERN.
government has acknowledged professional video gamers as athletes.
Hear the crowd, everyone's cheering the team on, you make friends, these are people you talk to, you play with online. It's all about community, it's being part of something that you're incredibly passionate about.
Have to get aggressive. Breach looking for it, and Hill got it.
Have to push for the kill. You have to kill the Malinski.
Transfers on 1-3. What a passion! It's high noon. There's the 1v2 and 5-1 for serve.
Map 1 was pretty cut and dry. 7-1 victory. Wichita Wolves Academy over KARN & Co., who really didn't seem to stand a chance at all, Harrison. It was dominance from the get-go. The only round that KARN & Co. were able to secure back in round 2 was off a pretty terrific clutch from Mikey.
Yeah, that being their only round win does not bode well for map 2. Now, again, like I said before the break, this was Wichita Wolves Academy's map pick. So, not the biggest deal in the world, but losing it like that is still a bit worrying. KARN & Co. kind of falling back on not necessarily old habits, but old mistakes, I guess. Their mid-round adaptation, not really the best. Their lack of fragging ability, something we talked about before this stage, that's seeming to come back in this map, which is really sad to see, because something that we keep highlighting in stage 2 is how they just look so much better. They're more coordinated. They're all fragging out. Mikey, Zeno, Whitlock, they're all doing well, but I mean, in this map, Mikey is the only one positive. 9 and 7, everyone else having 3 or less.
Damn.
In combination between all his teammates. He had 1 more kill than the rest of them. And oh no, their second highest rating is 0.51.
Ashen delivering one of the highest ratings we've seen in quite some time, a 1.83, putting up insane numbers, +2 on the entry as well, and a beautiful 100% cost to round it out. I mean, it was clean across the board from Wichita Academy. I mean, even Spiff at the bottom of the leaderboard still putting up more kills than most players on KARN & Co. In fact, all of them other than Mikey. There isn't a ton you can say in terms of redeeming qualities of that map for KARN & Co. So heading into this next one, they need to hit the reset button. Clubhouse is a perfect place to do it right. We do call it, the great equalizer for a reason. A lot of teams compete here regularly. They know what Clubhouse is about. So theoretically, neither team should walk into this with a tremendous disadvantage or advantage over the other. And KARN & Co. having picked this map, you expect them to come out of the gates swinging. They didn't do it on Villa, and they've got to do it here. Their playoff hopes depend on it.
Yeah, they really do. Going down 7-1 in a map in the first map and a similar scoreline in the second would not bode well for a first quarterfinal. Wouldn't look too good. So hopefully KARN & Co. find a way to bounce back. I've been loving how this team looks. Villa made me a little sad, but hey, maybe on their map pick they will show us that shining star once again. KARN & Co. start things off by banning the Thatcher, just like we saw in the previous map. They banned Thatcher Valkyrie. Wichita Wolves banned Flores Mira. I wouldn't be surprised if we see similar bans, but no, they will end up taking Hibana off the board, the most powerful hard breacher on this map, being able to avoid impact tricks, probably the biggest thing. So now you're going to rely a lot more on your Maverick.
Right, now you've got to run the balancing act of bringing that Maverick, but also bringing an important secondary hard breacher. Think about that basement site. When you attack Church and Arsenal, a Maverick isn't enough to get you that kitchen hatch open. That's death for a Maverick almost every single time. You need an exothermic, you need some Selmas, you need maybe some can openers, some of those secondary hard breach gadgets, but you've got to make sure you have the proper coverage when it comes to that site. You don't always want to just play that guessing game of which site are the defenders going to. You gotta have some sort of backup plan if the worst does happen. But as we head into Clubhouse, the interesting tidbit of information is that Wichita Academy, despite this being the map that they get to choose their starting side, they will go to start out on the attacking side, which is a little bit contrary, Harrison, to what we would normally expect.
Yeah, I do know that there are teams, similar to Cafe, who like attacking first on Clubhouse. Ever since the Jaeger nerf and the Lamai nerf, it's been a little bit better for the attack here. If you want to go over the team's histories on these maps, KARN & Co. won it 7-4 against West Garfield. In the meantime, though, Wichita Wolves Academy, I don't believe they've played it once, but it was against Judgment Day. They won it 7-5, which is maybe a much closer scoreline than Wichita Wolves Academy would have liked, but I digress. Also, having to say Wichita Wolves Academy is a real mouse. I think I'm just going to resign to calling them WW. Actually, no, WWA isn't much better, is it?
It's worse, yeah.
Yeah. Because Wichita Academy doesn't I don't know. I guess I'll just call them that.
It's been a battle figuring out exactly what to roll with. But,
It's
hey,
such a
it's
mouthful.
Wichita, the Wichita Wolves, the Wolves, the Academy. No, I'm just kidding. That last one does not work. But yes, a strong team regardless of what you call them. They will be opting to begin on the attacking side. And like we said, just bringing the Maverick is going to leave them in a little bit of a pickle here. They're working their way down to Church and Arsenal. That is, of course, the site of choice for KARN & Co. And a very smart choice right off the bat, given the Habana ban. Given these operator bans, it would generally seem that this is probably the strongest defensive site on this map for now. But Wichita Academy still have a roam to work their way through. Actually, I missed the thermite. I'm completely an idiot. They've got the thermite. They've got the Maverick. They're approaching from both sides on this top-down clear. And even though if I'm blind, Wichita Academy are not blind. They know they have to clear this top floor. They know they've got to take care of, I believe, both Mikey and Zeno positioned on this top floor.
Yeah, and of course, I wouldn't be surprised if Whitlock is lurking underneath in bar, covering his teammates' fallbacks. Yeah, I think he's on the first floor. So, we've seen this roam plenty of times. At this point, most teams know how to clear it, or at the very least, force those roamers back. But Asian is going to start walking down main stairs, thinking better of it. Not quite sure what he wants to do yet. I mean, if Wichita Wolves Academy sits someone up here to hold construction, they might not even really need to fully flush out these top floor roamers. But Mikey and Zeno, they're going to dart right out of cash, right through server, go back down to garage, and likely fall back to that site. In fact, Whitlock has as well. So KARN & Co. all default back, resigning to only waste about half the round. No gunfights being taken whatsoever.
I gotta say, I love this so far from KARN & Co. They are playing this one safe, and despite that, they have wasted a lot of time. Wichita Academy only now gaining control of this first floor. They've still got a lot of hard breach to do, still a lot of soft destruction to do as well. That's going to be Spiff's job, of course, as the buck with that skeleton key, and he is going to be shotgunning away that kitchen floor in an instant. There he goes as he tries to establish those angles down below, and maybe a couple of openings for both Asian and Reed to send those frag grenades down range. A couple of bullets will land on Whitlock and Mikey, and they'll be just lit up a tiny bit here, but still in pretty good fighting shape for when this eventual push comes in. That's the goal here for KARN & Co. Get everyone back alive, have this site hold be as strong as possible when Wichita Academy eventually go for that push. Zeno will burn the C4, and now he's got attackers bearing down on his position. Two of his teammates will fall around him, and now Zeno is in a lot of trouble. Reed gets 2 kills. Zeno now mowed down by Ashen, all on the shoulders of Mikey. Now he'll get a kill thanks to Spiff taking care of his teammate. He'll take down Asian himself, but Ashen will finish him off in an instant. Wichita Academy swarm the bomb site, and KARN & Co. fail to shoot back.
Yeah, I mean, while the Roam did a good job of avoiding the attackers while still wasting time, that was half the round, maybe even a minute 40 before Wichita Academy could really focus their attention to the bottom floor site. It still goes their way because of that moto drop. I mean, I don't really know what it was because we were too focused on blue, but something happened towards the moto side of things, and Wichita Wolves Academy got like 3 kills with no response, and Zeno, well, while we couldn't see what happened towards Moto, I'm very glad we got to watch Zeno have a very bad time behind the generator. I mean, he was trying to watch like 4 different angles at once and didn't get a kill off any of them. I've not envy Zeno at all in that situation. And I mean, that round, it was just Wichita Academy storming in and collecting every gunfight successfully. And now we see KARN and Co swap to the second floor site. Cash. They don't want to deal with Church again. Usually if they're going Cash before Gym, you talked about Church being considered probably the strongest site on this map. I would say Gym is definitely in second now with the new changes to Cash, but I guess KARN would just rather go here. I mean, they've got that Cade still likely to be playing in Garage because you can completely avoid those Cade claws with your Maverick now. So, yeah, Zeno going to place them in Garage. Probably better use there. Unless Wichita Academy end up going for Construction. Those Electric Claws might be wasted, but we'll have to see where they spawn. They've got the Thermite and the Mav, so they could effectively go anywhere they want.
Yeah, a couple of plans to fall back on potentially if they do indeed want to end up pushing from that Cash side. You've got that extra exothermic charge in pocket, as long as you make quick work of that platform wall. But actually, it looks like Reed is going to be taking up that role, a little bit of Maverick tricking, so Ambi will save those exothermics for either the Garage wall or that Cash wall, or maybe helping this attack make their entry over on that Jacuzzi side. As they get things just underway, we can take a look at this defensive setup, but I mean, for the most part, there isn't all that much that is unique. I mean, you've got the Garage presence, you've got the Wamai and the Jaeger. Actually, 3 of Felt Winter's magnets have not been thrown down yet. He's trying to make sure, likely figuring out where this clear is coming from, and then he can set those up accordingly. But as that's happening, Whitlock is being chased down and taken away in an instant. All alone on the roam, no support from his team, and Asian, even though it seemed he was alone, some impeccable drone work from Wichita Academy to give him the intel he needed to take that fight, and already Wichita Academy in a 5v4.
Yeah, and unfortunately, KARN and Co can't avoid the gunfights this time. Asian does take a lot of damage from Mikey, but again, he's that Finka. He can just heal himself back up and resume the gunfight, though Mikey will play back towards Swamp, not re-peeking into that Finka's LMG. The breach, in the meantime, has been fully open, so Wichita Academy have that avenue in sight. Actually, Spiff will just jump through the window as his avenue. He'll clap Feltwinter. Zeno is the next to fall from Spiff. A double kill for this buck as Ashen now follows up. Make that 2 for Ashen. Wichita Academy somehow take this round even more dominantly than the previous.
I don't know if this is a fair fight. It certainly doesn't feel like it after 2 rounds on KARN & Co.'s map pick.
Bro, Spiff jumped through the server window.
He just hopped in the site, and KARN & Co. had no idea. I mean, a word we've used to describe the KARN & Co. defense when it comes to those Wichita Academy surprises, it's been chaos, floundering. I mean, those are just 2 of them, and that's what we're seeing here again. The problems on Villa are still prevalent as ever on Clubhouse, and I gotta say, it is even more surprising than the outcome we saw on that first map. Of course, I don't want to get ahead of myself here. That is only 2 rounds from Wichita, but on the attack, KARN & Co. have not been able to counter Wichita Academy at all here. And because they are on the attack, Wichita Academy that is, you expect them to have a little bit more trouble. Not only did they deliver a flawless round 2, but round 1 was as close to flawless as you can really get. I mean, there was a team kill that made it a little bit easier for the last player to get 1 kill. I think it was last alive. What was it, Mikey? Last alive? Oh yeah, I mean, that's the only kill that KARN & Co. have found. So yes, the only kill that KARN & Co. have found was after a team kill when all of Wichita Academy were just flooding into Arsenal, and he just popped up and got 1. But it is very, very unbalanced right now with these 2 teams.
Yeah, I mean, considering last map and the first 2 rounds in this one, I know you mentioned Wichita Academy gaining the chutzpah, but right now they're making KARN look like a bunch of mashugas, a bunch of fools, idiots even, if I may be so bold. But I mean, KARN, I really hope we're not going to see this KARN in Challenger League. I want early stage 2 KARN to come back because they looked incredible, and I'm really sad we're not seeing that today. Wichita Academy are, like I said, just taking advantage of everything. KARN are giving them millimeters. KARN are giving them microns, and Wichita Academy are taking leagues off of them. I don't know what it is. I don't know what happened to KARN. This just ain't the team we saw in the past couple weeks.
Wichita Academy, they will be continuing, hopefully, their attacking success if you're a Wichita fan, like I know many of our chatters are. They'll be getting this attack, applying some pressure from that jacuzzi wall, already opening that up and applying some pressure from below. That's going to be Ashen's role here, joined now by Asian, who has those frag grenades. That's what, you know, he'll be looking to send up towards the site and see if he can catch out any of these KARN & Co defenders a little bit unaware. Mikey will, of course, be protected by the bathroom and the ceramic tile in the shower below him. But the rest of this defense, they will be a little bit more vulnerable, especially those defenders who are not on the site itself. You've got some players over on that CCTV and cache side. You've got Whitlock tucked away in construction. And while they may not be vulnerable this moment, they will have to worry that if Wichita Academy do go for a site push, that they get back to site to support their teammates in time. As we've talked about, that has been a problem that KARN & Co have struggled with, all being on the site, ready for Wichita Academy to push in. Now that we're under that minute mark, I mean, theoretically, we could see Wichita make a move at any moment because Spiff is applying pressure below, forcing these defenders out of their positions.
Is Zeno the only player to take damage so far, though? KARN & Co are sitting pretty in a 5v5 with 45 seconds left. I almost just cursed them as Carnage takes a lot of damage, but Asian is looking to simply push up main. He'll shoot the cam. Barbed wire is clear. Reed ends up finishing off that smoke for the first frag of this round. And, well, the smoke could have been so useful with the time running low, but now Zeno and Whitlock both fall, only trading out. Ashen, Mikey gets another. Reed, unfortunately, loses his nade there, and Spiff will be the next to die as Mikey finds a double. So the situation getting a little bit better for KARN & Co. They're an even 2 versus 2, and there's so little time remaining. Felwinter lights up Asian, but he takes a lot of damage in the process and now loses his only teammate. Plant going down from Reed, but it's behind the bomb chassis, and if he can't get through Asian, well, there's no hope of denying it. He'll send the C4 out in desperation, but as he tries to walk through the door, Asian will put a stop to it. Wichita Academy, although it came a little bit closer, will still end up taking 3 attacks in a row, 1 on each site.
Trade game there from Wichita Academy, on point. Gym and bedroom, as it often can become in the last few seconds, it really just is who is going to trade out those frags better. And in this case, it was Wichita Academy. To keep with our Yiddish theme, Harrison, what a bunch of mensches, a bunch of gentlemen getting their teammates back, making sure that if somebody dies, that they are there to provide the coverage and to get the kills in response. That's what we saw from Wichita Academy. There were a couple of moments where it looked like they were slipping up. Maybe Mikey was going to, tear into their back and, change the course of the round, and he nearly did, returning, I believe, a 2v4 to a 2v2. But of course, Mikey cannot do everything for his team. And in the end, Wichita Academy providing excellent coverage. It was Asian who provided coverage for the planter, allowing the bomb to go down from Reed and preventing anyone from walking in from construction. I mean, had that player worked their way in construction, had they rotated around towards Logi, Asian would have provided the coverage and there would not have been enough time to stop the plant. And as we saw, there was very few angles for that C4 to connect successfully. Very little intel for the defense to work with as well. Hence the adjustment they're making here. Mikey is now shifting over to the Echo, potentially to remedy some of those intel issues they may be having when it comes to those site pushes.
Sticking your top frag on Echo. Interesting. By the way, I know everyone can read the scoreboard, but just to emphasize it further, Mikey has 3 kills, Zeno has 1, and the rest of the team has 0. Zilch, nada. in 3 whole rounds. That is not what you want to be seeing, and what a follow-up after the drone. Asian following close behind. Xeno not expecting the clear to be so fast and fierce. And, well, I mean, it's only been 30 seconds for Wichita Academy. Start out with the first pick. Ashen, well, he tries to get a little bit cheeky and will end up throwing his life away to Whitlock.
Yeah, I think the confidence is now ramping up to a degree, potentially a dangerous degree for Wichita Academy. Ashen just decided, it's my time to shine. I am gonna roll myself down this ladder and take a fight, but he didn't even get halfway down the ladder before his head was taken clean off by Whitlock, who will now find the scoreboard with his first kill. So we're in an even 4v4, still a fighting chance for KARN & Co, but because they're not going for much of a roam or an extension this time, the site is more vulnerable from the get-go. As such, Asian will be pushing straight down the stairs and says goodnight to Whitlock just as fast as Whitlock dealt with his teammate a moment before. It's a 3v4, and now KARN & Co have to make up some ground. Mikey trying to put the team on his back, as he has done on several occasions now. He'll land a couple of bullets on Asian, but the Finka will not only be able to dip and dodge away, but quickly able to heal herself back up to a better fighting shape.
Asian, again, taking a little bit of damage, but, you know, unfortunately for Mikey, he is that Finka. Felt will now go full white, but there is no capitalization from Wichita Academy just yet. Reed still working on the wall, will open up a line so they have an angle from main stairs into church back behind the minibar. Reed now cooking a nade, sending it into blue, attempting to frag out the player behind generator, but it only does a little bit of damage to Feltwinter, as Mikey now begins to flank as Echo, maybe his only team's hope. Feltwinter and Carnage kind of stuck in the side, but Mikey ends up getting 1 kill. Feltwinter follows it up. 1-man advantage, making a 2-man advantage for for KARN & Co. And that leaves Ambi alone in a 1 versus 3. Diffuser dropped in Moto. He'll flash over the wall, but no one will be hit by it. Feltwinter still holding this close angle on the bomb chassis. Will now run away. Ambi trying to take the fight. There is someone to his back. The Echo needs to cover his teammate. Instead, he'll give away the pick. No trade. Ambi gets behind Black Box, a very safe position that many planters love to hide behind. But Mikey, I don't think he can get his drone through that because of that little lip, and that means Ambi might get this plant down. KARN aggressing will catch. No! The Thermite wins it, but Mikey is there for the trade. A triple kill for the Echo. All he does is have to walk up behind his teammate and wait for the gas to dissipate. And wow, that was much too close for comfort.
Oh man, I mean, it definitely was. KARN & Co should not have given up nearly the lead that they'd worked so hard to secure. It is an interesting question that Carnage is going to raise in the chat about the smoke not hitting the planter. But regardless, KARN & Co will take the round. I think we're 4 for 4, or at least we were 3 for 3 on Yiddish words, and so I'm going to bring out another one here, Harrison, but I am running out of words in my repertoire. Formerly, we've been seeing KARN & Co running all over the site, looking like a bunch of nadlach, and what that is matzo balls, okay? And what I mean by that is they've been rolling around, chaotic, without much of a focus, without much of a control, kind of like, you know, whether that's ball in a pinball machine, just kind of getting thrown all over the place. You get the point. I'm making it work here because it's a matzo ball. The point is, it's good to see that KARN & Co made some adjustments there. They didn't let themselves get so roly-poly, so uncontrolled when it came to the execute. Maybe they lost a couple of duels right off the rip, but then those final 3 players just decided to buckle down and get the job done. Wichita Academy, they thought it would be pretty similar to their previous executes, where they roll in the site and you've got someone from KARN & Co just swinging them, standing in a doorway, taking a gunfight, but that was not the same case here. You had KARN & Co playing a little bit more unified, and while it did definitely completely go to waste in the end, where they stopped playing unified, they pushed Ambi one at a time, they did have a more cohesive hold of that site for the most part.
Yeah, well done to KARN & Co for finally taking a round. Mazel tov. They got a point. We'll see if they can keep that ball rolling. It didn't look, you know, it wasn't pretty, but it's a point nonetheless. I'm sure Wichita Academy, though, are just kind of shaking that off, you know, dusting off their shoulders, saying, you know what, boys? We fumbled. We got a little ahead of ourselves. You know, if Ashton was alive in the latter half of that round, that might go very differently. That would have been a 2v2, or sorry, a 2v3, rather than a 1v3. Who knows? It's all conjecture at this point. But Wichita Academy now, of course, working on that plat wall as Reed still continues to Mav trick it, and I believe the wall has now fallen away. There it is, right on cue, ready for Ashen to open. Very nice timing from that Maverick, only 45 seconds wasted.
Asian looking to do what he's been doing best in most of these rounds, and that is getting rid of these roamers. Almost single-handedly, Asian has been able to take care of any extended defenders, and while he hasn't quite been able to track down Mikey just yet, Feltwinter is actually the first player to die. Was that on Rafters? Please don't tell me that was on Rafters. Good
Yes.
Lord. Ambi was able to get that kill, and Feltwinter couldn't do much about it. I suppose KARN & Co.'s luck will change slightly now that they were able to kill Asian. Looked like Asian got maybe a little too extended and individually focused for his own good, and it's not going to do him any good here in round 5, but we are still in an even 4v4. I do agree, though, that, KARN & Co. losing the Wamai, taking down a Finka, overall, that's a good trade for the defense, but now that you've lost Whitlock as well, it really doesn't matter. Mikey is isolated from this bomb site. You've only got Carnage B, you've only got Xeno holding down this site now. No C4, only 2 toxic smokes, and here come the nades. Perfectly onto the smoke that is just barely going to miss that fatal blow. He'll have to back off a little bit and use those smokes to delay the remainder of this clock out.
And look at all the utility that the attack still has as Ambi finds a kill, Spiff as well. So many flashbangs that could aid them in securing the kill on the Xeno. And there it is, Ambi cuts him down. A 3K for the Thermite. What a round for Wichita Wolves Academy, especially because of that early pick. I have to say, down to Feltwinter dying early, Wichita Academy not having to cut through all the schmutz placed on Rafters, all those Wamai discs and ADSs. I mean, it was free. It was just a pick. No utility expended, so that leaves nades still up for utility in the site. Flashbangs to force the Cade into angles that Wichita Academy were already holding, and so much going the way of the attack, and that has just been the theme of this series so far. Every round, it seems like Wichita Wolves Academy, even if they're at the disadvantage, still have a chance. And if that doesn't scream that one team has been in control fully of these past 2 maps, I don't know what does.
Another odd occurrence in that round was how little those smoke grenades and the presence of that smoke in the operator lineup was actually able to do. You could say those smoke grenades really amounted to bubkiss, amounted to nothing. And unfortunate for KARN because, I mean, he was that element that you were really hoping could leverage the defense and put yourself into a much better position. But if everyone is dying, every other defender around you is dying, those smoke grenades can't help you that much. Smoke grenades are most potent when you've got, most of your defense still alive, when you've got all these other avenues covered, and the attackers are forced to funnel through a particular area. Unfortunately, because Wichita Academy opened up 100 different avenues of approach on a bomb site that I didn't even know had that many angles to come from, those smoke grenades just went out, found almost nothing, blocked off almost no time, and Wichita Academy could roll through the site unimpeded. Props again to the attack. KARN & Co. still struggling to find components of this defense that are working for them. In their last effort to get a second round, they're headed here to gym and bedroom. They'll ditch the smoke. KARN will pick up the alibi instead. Maybe that's going to help them out.
Yeah, I mean, it is a shield and it is a good gun. Contrary to what a lot of people say about KARN, he is not on support because he is old. He can still frag out. I mean, not right now, but we've seen him do it. I guess this isn't the best sample size in this current series. 0-5, unfortunate. Carnage Basketball has not found the scoreboard just yet. Now, last time Wichita Academy attacked this site, it did come down to a 2v2. It was decently close, but Ashen trying to make a sneaky play up main. He'll shoot out the cam, break the barbed wire. I don't know if he's going to push further because his position is likely known now. He's just kind of saving that for later in the round. Once KARN & Co. are distracted by people coming through the jacuzzi breach, maybe window pressure, maybe a pinch in from construction, someone can walk up main and surprise the rest of those defenders.
Ooh, Spiff nearly catching out. I believe that's Mikey, who will now force himself to retreat into bathroom once again. That could have been a very good pick early for Wichita Academy, given that Mikey is the only real player on KARN & Co. contributing at the moment. Nades, though, from Wichita Academy may look to finish him off. Karn actually now the next target, but he will quickly duck away, wary of the presence from below. Mikey will expend, I believe, one of those impacts to establish an angle actually onto those opponents downstairs, but it's not him to step up first. Actually, it is Whitlock to get the opening blow for this defense. Good to see KARN & Co. consistent with these opening frags in these last few rounds, but this time they not only get 1, but 2 and 3 opening picks. Feltwinter on the third. Ambi will get one back, taking down KARN himself. Reed will get another, but it'll all fall on the shoulders of the Thermite now. He's got to find 3 defenders. He's got 55 seconds, no drones, and really not enough utility to get this done on his own. The flashes will get caught by the magnets. He'll end up flashing himself in the face. He's going to take care of that last one. It's going to get burned by an ADS anyway, so now he'll have to just run into Jim and just pray that someone from KARN & Co. is swinging him. Looks like they will be, more so holding the crossfire. Mikey is the one to get credited with that kill as KARN & Co. find some success in their final defense, ending the half with a 2-4 defensive split.
I think that was a 3K for Mikey in that round as well. And you could see Wichita Academy got caught off guard. I think it may have just been the confidence as they were kind of chasing kills, but ending up tripping over themselves during that roam clear, looking like a bunch of klutzes, especially with Spiff. You know, after the angle being opened up in bathroom, trying to drop Moto fast and then getting shot from above by that angle that was established by the attack in the first place. I mean, not great. Asian getting caught off guard by a Whitlock once again as well. The entire clear from Wichita Academy just looked more haphazard than anything. Not nearly as well put together as we've seen in these previous rounds. Now, whether that's on Wichita Academy getting a little cocky or on KARN & Co. for just having a better sight hold and better awareness of those angles, I think that's an argument to be made, maybe even a little bit of both. But ending 2-4 on your defensive half after your Wichita Academy chose attack, not necessarily the worst predicament in the world. It's better than the 5-1 that they suffered on Villa.
But as we head into the second half, Harrison, and I know I've given you this spiel several times, okay, and that is that KARN & Co. need to start off their attack strong. They simply have to. We saw the way that they shifted from that defense to that attack on Villa, and it was not pretty at all. They need to get a couple of rounds here. If you let Wichita Academy work their way to match point in a couple of rounds, you are going to be in a whole bunch of trouble. The one, saving grace here for KARN & Co. is that even though they have to work through a pretty substantial roam, I believe Whitlock's drone spotted out Ashen over by Strip, wondering if Ashen is going to play that pretty aggressively. He actually will, choosing to run out and maybe take a bit of an early engagement outside, but not landing a single bullet, nor will he take a single bullet worth of damage. But any impact Ashen could make here as a roamer, I mean, will be felt even more so. Even if it's not a kill, just a bit of damage, because KARN & Co. they are not rocking with the Finka like we saw Wichita Academy work with. So that means that any damage you get onto this attack is permanent.
And Mikey, of course, playing as the Buck, looks to be the first person to try and clear out the vigil of Ashen, who's just kind of at the top of main, probably looking for a drone to shoot back before he falls off. There is someone upstairs as well. That's going to be Spiff. But Asian, the Maestro, is the first to take a bit of damage as he tries pushing up the secret stairs, but is forced back down by whoever was on that window. Ashen still not spotted out by these drones, but as his ERC goes down, he'll destroy a drone, and like I said, well, he'll break it and immediately fall back, leaving Spiff on his lonesome. But I'm not quite sure if KARN & Co. know his exact whereabouts or if he's even upstairs still at all.
Yeah, dangerous to stay up here for much longer, of course, but he may now be committed to this position, committed to go for a flank. If he doesn't get spotted out by a drone here, he could work his way back and end up finding a multi-kill if KARN & Co. aren't careful. I mean, their drones appear to be all focused on the site below, on finding out where these defenders are positioned, so it may very well be that the mute's position has gone completely unnoticed. So the job of these defenders on the site is just going to be to stay alive, because if they can delay this clock out, they can make the play from that flank eventually even more stronger. If KARN & Co. are busy focusing on the execute, Spiff could make his biggest impact. But he's already worked his way into Lounge. Xeno on his drone, not focused on Lounge, rather focused on those secret stairs. So Spiff could catch him out if he leaves that room.
Spiff is on the hunt right now, on the prowl, looking to pounce on some of these attackers who still are looking like they're unaware, and there it is, finally. He'll strike, and it will be onto the unfortunate victim of Xeno. The Iana goes down, a lot of info off the board, nades and a Gone 6 if they were yet to be used, and now someone from KARN is going to have to keep their eye on that flank while the rest focus on this execute. He's got a C4 right now on the stock wall, maybe playing for a distraction, but as he makes his flank, Ashen gets cut down by Mikey in the site. Now we're in an even 4v4. Whitlock gets right past Ambi, so the plant can start. Karn's taking a little bit of damage. Ambi is looking for an opening, but he'll get cut down from the hatch. Excellent cover from Mikey, and the plant will go down. Reed will try and peek up. He'll down one, but Asian's teammates fall all around him, and it ends up being Whitlock, the planter, to land the final kill, as well as one earlier, a double kill for the Thermite, and the round for KARN & Co.
I really like that plan of attack there from KARN & Co. Instead of, stopping everything they were doing and choosing to then, schlep themselves over to the other side of that first floor, looking for Spiff, who had just taken down Xeno, they said, you know what? This is our time to move towards the site. We know it's a little bit understaffed. We've got an opportunity here. And when they made that push, and who was on that Jaeger who couldn't quite get the kill on the player?
The Jaeger
who
was
dropped?
Ambi.
Ambi couldn't quite land that crucial shot. I mean, it would have been a very different round had he hit that shot, through the AK rack, had he been able to get that kill, and it would have immediately dropped the diffuser down, and KARN & Co. would have had to send another body into the site to get it. That certainly would have been a Wichita Academy round, but because that player was able to sneak into that default plant spot, and the rest of the team was able to cover from the hatch, that was all she wrote. That's Wichita Academy. They knew they had to just desperately get in there and take gunfights. And because, like I said, they didn't have everyone in position ready to stop that plant, and there was no utility that we saw really go out at all, it was a successful coverage and a successful plant. KARN & Co. really had no trouble finishing it out.
And Wichita Academy, they're going to put more stock into the one thing that worked in the previous round, and that was the roam, right? Spiff was able to get a kill. In fact, I think it was one of like 2 players to get a kill, and they'll end up bringing the full SSG roam lineup. I wouldn't be surprised if they played a very similar way. You have Spiff and Ashen as the Mute and the Mozzie on the top floor. Asian down below in bar, helping cover his teammates' retreat. Of course, Castle Barricades upstairs to assist, as well as one on site to prevent an early rush. And those Banshees, which, like those kind of like the Castle Barricade downstairs, is used as an early warning sign. If anyone from KARN & Co. steps in those Banshees, they will call those roamers back. And already, Feltwinter has dropped down Oil Pit, now being maybe joined by some of his teammates. No, it's just him by himself. Blue hatch being open. Castle Barricade oil popped, but no push just yet. In fact, they're just waiting for the cutoff, but Ambi able to escape narrowly with his life. He's lit up, but the most important thing is that he's alive and he can make the calls for his team, calling those roamers back. It's Asian on the fallback to get the first pick onto Mikey, already starting out better than the previous, and not a lot of time being wasted either. 50 seconds, you already have a pick on the Buck. That's pretty damn good for KARN & Co. And you can see them kind of scramble now. They know they can no longer go for the same rush as confidently.
Yeah, it's the Buck and it is Mikey. You don't have that big gun on the site, and because of that, not only do you have to worry about the site below, but you've got to worry about these flanks. Xeno knows that somebody is there, but Ashton is able to win that fight anyway. He had the heads-up play, and he was ready to go. That is indeed going to be the bomb diffuser dropped, and that means that KARN & Co. need to pivot. They can no longer make the decision not to pivot. They've got to pick it back up, and so KARN will make sure it's recovered. Ashen choosing not to cover it, choosing to play a little bit more passively. He's still in a power position, though, as is Spiff. They have not given up control of this first floor, and that means that KARN & Co., even though they may be on the site, KARN himself is very vulnerable to a flank from behind. This nade could be big. It'll work its way into the site, but come up with nothing. Asian will fall at Feltwinter's hand, but Feltwinter will be dropped right behind. Whitlock will collect a kill, but now it'll all fall on his shoulders against 3. Reed finishing off Feltwinter for good. 3 defenders now staring at Whitlock's position, actually aggressively taking the first gunfight, but now they'll think twice. Just holding the long angle is Reed, and he will be the one to finish off Whitlock and to give Wichita Academy their first successful defense.
Yeah, again, at the risk of sounding like a kvetch, that KARN & Co. clear, as soon as the roam didn't work, they needed to completely abandon that line of thinking, like I said, in the middle of that round. I mean, Wichita Academy are now completely aware of what your initial game plan was. And even though KARN and Co. suffered the first 2 losses, and Wichita Academy were obviously aware of the rush coming down, they already rotated most of their roamers back. Again, save that Mozzie. KARN and Co. still tried to go for it with Whitlock pushing down dirt. KARN and Felt both going blue with nothing else at their fingertips. That was a dry blue dirt push, a blue dirt push. And typically, again, like I said, that kind of split play only works in a rush. You need something else, whether it be kitchen drop down, whether it be main stairs control, whether it be moto. You need something else. So Wichita Academy are taking full advantage of KARN & Co.'s lack of adaptation in the middle of that round, the lack of adjustment really doing them in, and they'll now go to cash for the first time, where we see, a very different operator lineup, much more close to the chest. You don't really see many crazy roams when it comes to this site. A lot of utility for KARN & Co. to try and burn through.
And plus, again, you're bringing out the smoke, something that we didn't see KARN & Co. utilize to perfection, and something that we have seen Wichita Academy do quite well, at least when we saw them on Villa. So that in the hands of Reed will likely be something that KARN & Co. need to worry about. But right off the bat, I mean, they're keeping the buck in play with Mikey, which is good to see. That soft destruction has benefited both of these teams quite well, and honestly, I'm surprised to see Buck so much in this series tonight, but it does mean that we're likely going to see some pressure from Mikey from below. You work your way into stock, you can pressure cash room pretty substantially, plus he'll work his way on the roof, likely pop that Logi hatch, open up a couple of extra avenues that KARN & Co. could theoretically approach from, and maybe a couple of angles opened up onto Asian's position to make sure that the Malusi cannot feel super comfortable roaming on the other side of this top floor. But KARN & Co. are applying a good bit of pressure to the other side of this top floor, and it seems that they don't just want to clear out these roamers, they actually want to take this top floor control and work their way from this construction side.
Yeah, there aren't too many roamers to speak of. No one really holding down Jim at all. Most of this defense centered around the site, though I did think we saw one person downstairs. Yeah, it's just Asian on that Malusi. Otherwise, everything else is pretty standard. The Malusi could come up for a flank again if it's not being accurately watched by anyone on KARN & Co. But it seems like with those yellow pings, they are aware of it. Mikey's attempting to find him through those floorboards, really wanting to pressure out this Malusi, and Asian ends up taking damage from the con hatch, but will quickly dart away back to the safety of lounge, maybe even back to site. Felwinter, who's actually using KARN's Mav holes, will get tagged by Ambi. Ambi is a madman for trying to swing that. Ashen as well, covering it with that shield. There's probably ADSs, and in fact, he'll pull out the 44. Watching the rappel line, but as the wall goes down behind him, he'll have to back off. He can still watch this rappel, but it'll be a little bit more difficult, and in fact, he'll get that frag. What a beautiful shot, jumping out to get another onto Mikey. Whitlock, the next to fall, though Reed hasn't finished him. There it is, 2 versus 5 for Zeno and KARN. KARN will start things off. Zeno finds another as Reed gets a little bit over-aggressive, but still, grim tidings for KARN & Co. with the Maverick stuck outside Platwall and Zeno over towards construction. These last 2 attackers are hopelessly split up. In go the nades from KARN. Dealing with someone towards red who has a shield. Wow, beautiful kill onto Ambi. Spiff still watching the breach as well as Asian. They're holding a crossfire, knowing that he's got... No, he doesn't have the case. It's actually Zeno with it. Asian just swings out. It's all up to this Iana, but he can't do anything as Asian finds him. Wichita Academy, again, it's very close, but they still eke out round number 9.
They do throw away their advantage a little bit. Wichita Academy, that is. They got quite aggressive, far too aggressive for their own good. But Asian, I mean, continuing that same theme of aggression, will end up just swinging on the breach, getting a kill. KARN just was not ready for it. And yes, that is enough to move Wichita Academy to match point, and enough to inspire KARN & Co. to finally take their timeout. I was surprised when we didn't see this timeout on the first half when they were struggling so much on that defensive side, given how important that defensive side is, but I suppose they saved their timeout for a moment like this. They are 3 rounds down. They need 3 in a row just to keep their playoff hopes alive. Wichita Academy right now, they are giving KARN & Co. a swift kick in the tuchus, right in the rear, and KARN & Co. are yet to make just enough of a change that it feels like they finally have control of this series. There has been no point in this series so far where KARN & Co. have felt in control. Maybe there's been a round or two, but aside from that, it is Wichita Academy all the way.
Yeah, I mean, Wichita Academy are making KARN & Co. look quite verklempt. Quite frankly, a bit overwhelmed by everything they're throwing at them. It's 6-3. One more point is all Wichita Academy needs to shut KARN & Co. out, eliminate them from the playoffs, move on to the semis, and they have a whole 3-round buffer. They have a full sites rotation worth of points to win this game. And while they're trying to start on Jim, of course, the only site they have yet to... well, I guess I shouldn't say the only site. The only site of the main rotation that they have yet to defend, and Asian will finally don the Aruni. You know what I just noticed? Aruni has been up for the entirety of Villa and Clubhouse, and I think this is the first round we're seeing her.
I mean, Wichita Academy aren't one to, overly prioritize utility burn on the defensive side, right? They generally prefer to run somebody like Ambi who can just play the alibi and just fry people in half. So I guess I'm not too surprised why we haven't seen it from the Wichita Academy side of things, but maybe more surprised from KARN & Co. just slightly. But we'll see how Asian chooses to utilize her. It'll likely be just on this cache extension. That is where we'll see maybe 1 or 2 of those Surya gates deployed. That'll be the priority for Wichita Academy right off the bat, just delaying KARN & Co. as they work their way into this map. And then, of course, KARN & Co. have to make the fateful decision. Do they clear out the extension and go through that hard work, or do they go for something a bit more direct? Based on these spawns, they will be positioned on the side of the map to clear through that very extension. But once they work their way up to the site, realize what they're dealing with, we could see them pivot.
And it seems like KARN & Co. do want to go for the full over clear, making sure that this cache roam is done and dusted. As you can see, right on display is the Mutant Earth. Unfortunately, that jammer does not reach all the way up to the top anymore. It is a sphere rather than a cylinder. So if you just put your thermite charge at the top of the wall, you completely avoid it. And Asian, despite being so low on HP, still able to dart away with his life. I mean, he'll be on pretty much 1 HP for the rest of the round, but he's still up, and he'll be a thorn in the side of KARN & Co. if they're worried about that flank. In comes the utility, though. I believe we just heard a shield.
Ashen now. I'm not sure. I might have lost you there, Harrison. Ashen now will try to step up. Feltwinter actually gets the first kill. Mikey will follow right behind, taking down Asian. Ambi still extended on this cache side, really hunting for these kills, and at this point it may be Wichita Academy's last hope in this round, playing quite aggressive and taking Feltwinter's life, but now his position is exposed, and he's going to be in a tough spot. Zeno knows that there is somebody around the side, and he will look to push that out. Ambi should probably look to back off as soon as possible. Reed on the site, Spiff joining him, and Ambi now fully retreating back to the site. They'll fight this one in a 3v4. Mikey now opening up this jacuzzi wall. KARN will establish that angle. So they've got this approach they need from this cache side, Harrison, rather from the jacuzzi side, if they want to push in.
Yeah, okay, I think I'm back. My internet took a hiccup, probably due to the storm, but of course the show must go on. Now, 4 versus 3 in the favor of KARN & Co. In fact, Wichita Academy suffering by 1 man. I'm not quite sure what happened in the beginning of this round, but it seems as if Cash was more than dealt with, getting the kills on Ashen and Asian. No more flank to worry about, and Carnage B will surmount that advantage with a kill onto Reed, denying a C4. That leaves it up to Ambi and Spiff. Make that just Spiff as Ambi hits the floor, darting away from the bomb chassis, and this Jaeger is stuck in bathroom, not necessarily prime clutching position as he tags up Zeno's back. Adiana is going to call out exactly where this Jaeger is located, and Whitlock getting that plant down. It comes at the cost of Zeno, but that kill from Spiff ends up being nothing more than a tchotchke. It'll be another round for KARN & Co. as they look to decrease the gap.
Not gonna lie, you stole the use of tchotchke. I was gonna bring it out next. Those little knickknacks, those little gizmos that both the holograms, the surrogates, all of that utility I was gonna mention was not enough to stall out KARN & Co. on the cash clear. Seems at Wichita Academy, Jim may not be for them. They just could not hold that one down. They had that plan to fully extend to the other side of the map. And yes, even though you did lose a little bit of internet connection there, Harrison, it turns out that yes, you were completely correct. The cash clear was dealt with expeditiously. Ambi, who was left alive in that awkward position, made the decision to stay there a little bit longer, and he was able to get a kill back because of it. But at that point in the round, I mean, the amount of utility that Wichita had committed to that position and that had been burned through almost instantaneously, it felt like. That just meant the site was left far more vulnerable, and KARN & Co. just took the fights, and they won them because Wichita Academy were caught out in pretty uncomfortable positions. So, good adjustment there after the timeout for KARN & Co. They get one back. Of course, the gap is still 2 rounds, but it's certainly not over yet.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, in addition to the round we just saw, Wichita Academy had a full sites rotation worth, but they do get to go back to church, where their roam was beautiful, though it did also involve KARN & Co. refusing to adjust, going for a cheeky roam, it not working out, and then having to just commit to it. And Ambi, all right, that was a little bold. Xeno will cut his head off, and well, now you've just lost one of your site players, maybe someone to rotate back, or maybe leaving Reed all alone.
I mean, I suspect Ambi was just hoping to further chalk the KARN & Co. mental, but in doing so actually boosted the confidence of KARN & Co., I'm sure, tenfold. I mean, not only do they have Ambi off the board, who is currently, tied for top frag with the Wichita Academy roster. I mean, you don't have one of these aggressive players to worry about just throwing their life at you. It's another player on this top floor that you don't have to clear out. Asian hits an incredible shot, and so KARN will compliment him for it. Agreed there. Reed also hits a nice shot on the follow-up. And so now you've got a 4v3. Quickly favoring Wichita Academy despite Ambi's early mistake. That has all been remedied by a flurry of kills working the way back for the defense. So Mikey is still in the mix, and that kind of has been the win condition for Wichita Academy. Can they take down the buck of Mikey? And so far, they haven't. He can continue to add to his 14 kill tally as he and the rest of this team clear out this map.
Oh, it looks like the drone may have missed Spiff there, and especially losing 2 bodies. Well, Spiff will rotate back, but losing 2 bodies, especially your Maverick, leaving only 1 exothermic charge as your only source of hard reach. If I'm KARN & Co., I might be schwitzing a little. I might be sweating in my boots, because this is a man disadvantage with only 1:20 to spare, and Mikey going for this destruction over kitchen. Well, I doubt that a drop down will be sure to follow because of those impacts from Asian. The thermite charge is very easy to catch with one of those as the time continues to bleed away, and the drone's not looking too much in the favor of KARN & Co. Only 2 left, and wow, the C4 will eradicate Mikey. 4 versus 2 now. Whitlock using his last bit of hard breach on the church wall, looking to make his way through, but it's impacted immediately by Asian. There goes any hope of opening reinforcements, and Asian, just to add insult to injury, will swing on Whitlock. 4 versus 1, all up to Feltwinter, the Zofia. He's got 150 bullets and 4 kills to find, but Asian will put him in the dirt. It's another, well, not as dominant map, but still a 7-4 for Wichita Academy. They propel themselves to semi and send KARN & Co. into elimination.
Harrison, there's only one thing we can say in reaction to this series, and that is a big ol' oy vey. You knew it was coming. It had to come out because Wichita Academy made pretty quick work of KARN & Co. here. Yes, map 2 was certainly a lot closer, 7-4, a much more respectable performance from KARN & Co. But Mikey put, far too much work is what Mikey was required to do. He dropped, 14 kills there? We'll take a look at the stats in a moment. But, KARN & Co. just not stepping up enough to support the man himself, the player that we talked about, the highest rated player on KARN & Co., who was, playing exceptionally well coming into tonight, continuing to play exceptionally well. But the rest of the team, not doing enough to contribute around him. The coordination, it was there at points, but it just was not there throughout the duration of this series. So overall, only taking 5 rounds between the 2 maps is not the best place to be. Wichita Academy, They deal with KARN and Co, and they move on to the semis.
Yeah, and I guess we at the end of that map, we know why Wichita Academy chose attack first as well. They did look much more confident on the attack, able to plot right through the most of KARN and Co.'s defenses, but they still look decent on the defense. You know, not as many rounds in a row. You know, KARN and Co. took 2 attacks there, but at the end of the day, 7-4, 7-1 on our first map. If you missed it, that means Wichita Academy, although coming in to the playoffs as the 2nd seed of their group, still have a good shot at that grand finals. They go to semis, which we'll of course have on Friday. On Saturday. I believe it's actually Friday right now on the East Coast. We want to take a look at the stats. 14-7 for Mikey, a near Herculean performance, but it wasn't enough to pull the wool over the eyes of Wichita Academy, as every single member of the squad was positive.
I mean, everyone putting up numbers. I mean, I was looking at it in the mid-round, and it really middle of that map, and it really did seem that everyone was putting up some pretty solid numbers. I mean, Spiff, even at the bottom of the leaderboard, we saw him make a couple of pretty clutch plays, some important plays, a couple of nice flanks, doing a really good job of working on the defensive side, at least working that roam on the top floor, going unnoticed on several occasions. Speaks to the utility game that the entire Wichita Academy side was able to utilize. Their information denial impeccable, allowing, you know, a player like Spiff to step up in the right moments and get those kills. On the attacking side as well, maining Buck throughout the night, just providing all of that soft destruction that worked so well for Wichita Academy in those clutch situations. So you gotta give it up to just a full-fledged, everyone on the team contributing, a genuine team performance. This is the Wichita Wolves Academy team that, like, we wanted to see tonight. That won stage 1 and that could potentially go on to win stage 2 if they continue to improve and return to form. Yeah,
but of course we have an interview up for you guys, and it will be once again one of my favorite players of all time. It's Ambi.
Oh,
it's
we already started?
Our little bundle of energy. Hi.
What's up,
Hi,
man?
Ambi.
What's up, man?
How are you doing?
No, I'm great. I'm great. Actually, I'm not, but
You're
it's
not?
okay. No.
Why are you not great?
You know, I've got some things happening, but make me a bit sad, but it's okay.
It's okay. At least you got the dub today. So that
Exactly.
That's sort of balanced. I see your lights are very... What is going on?
Okay, hold on. All right, we're good.
Okay. But hey, we want to talk, you know, going from kind of ignoring the Judgment Day game, because that was a bit of a troll game. But
Yeah, it was.
if we want to compare this game to against Dallas Vendetta, I mean, what do you think your biggest issues were in that loss that you've now fixed here against KARN and Co?
Oh. Well, DV, I don't know. They got 5 people on their team that can, like, all go to the league, honestly. So, I mean, that's just really good. And honestly, I think if we beat One Shot next week, that we'll see them in finals. So, and against KARN and Co, I mean, we just played our game.
So you're already pegging One Shot to be your semifinal opponent?
Yeah.
You're calling it? Who do they play?
Yeah.
They play Mystic. Well,
You know, you never know. You never know.
you do never know, but I think, you know, Mystic are definitely the underdogs. One Shot are the favorites there, but if you know, we want to look at your stats. You know, you've been quite the performer so far in this stage. Unfortunately, you didn't have as good of a day. You were still positive. You still had some highlights, of course, playing on that support, the Thermite on club, but Asian and Ashen were stepping up a lot more today than I think we saw in the DV game. And do you think, you know, getting your 2 main fraggers back in the groove is definitely a help?
Oh, when those guys are shooting, like, in their prime, like, yeah, it's over. I don't think we lose a game. Like, if they're both on 100%, I don't think we can lose, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of not losing, I mean, first of all, Villa, I don't really think I need to go over. That was a bit of a wash. The only round you guys lost was down to Mikey popping off right before he DC'd.
Yeah,
But
we should have won that.
yeah, I mean, I was talking with Jonah, you know, if not for that clutch, that would have been a 7-0. But moving on to Clubhouse, right? Clubhouse, as we know, historically is a defender-sided map. What was your guys thinking in opting to go attack first?
Wait, I wasn't even there for that. I wasn't even there. Apparently, we chose attack. Our analyst does that, so you can ask Ariel. I have no idea. Wait, no, I have an answer.
Oh, you do?
I don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm sure Ariel will probably answer in Twitch chat at this when it comes around. But I know, you know, your entry game today was actually even better than we're used to it being. You only lost 2 entry duels on Clubhouse out of 11 rounds. Was there something, you guys were doing differently, or something that you improved in your time off, or was stuff just clicking?
I don't know. I think those guys, they play really static, so like we just kind of knew things were clear. We just took it like that. So honestly, like I don't know, like we were in the building so fast against those guys.
Oh yeah.
Taking control, like it was. It was crazy.
Do you think your 2 play styles are kind of like a good matchup for you guys?
Yeah, it is. A lot.
Yeah. Because I know KARN and Co. we talked about, they have looked better earlier in the stage, but I don't know. Were you expecting more out of them in this game?
Yeah, I'll say that. I thought it'd be closer. But hey, we're just the best apparently, so it's all good.
That's true. And I mean, you guys have been proving it. I mean, of course, you already have the pro spot, so if you make it to grand finals, it'll just go to the other team there with you. But you got to get through either One Shot or Mystic first. Ambi, as always, it's a pleasure. And I love talking to you.
I was talking to you, man.
I keep talking about getting the Halo stacks back together. We got to do that sometimes because Infinite is free. So there's no excuse anymore for people not owning the game.
Maybe we can play the card game.
We can play the card game. I'm sure someone's figured out how to do the card game. I'll talk to Lynx and maybe Exo. But Ambi, good luck in the semifinals.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure casting you guys so far. And yeah, we will see you again on Saturday.
Hey, I'll see you too.
Have a good night.
You too, man.
Love the interviews. Love the Ambi interviews. They just hit different. They really do. I don't know if you could. I don't think stream could hear him there, but he's in our comms going, I gotta go, I gotta run. So he's out of here. And you can just take a look at our overall stats from the series. Mikey, as we've talked about, you can see his performance reflected 23 and 14. Good lord.
And then everyone else
some
has
quick math.
7 or below in 2 maps.
More kills than Whitlock, Feltwinter, and KARN combined. So there's that.
Yeah, that's not great, especially when your bottom fragger on Wichita Academy is -1.
Ooh, baby.
Yikes. I mean, I feel like this is one of those games, right? We always say in Siege, kills aren't everything. And people who say so are a bunch of schmendricks. This game comes down to way more than just the frags, but this right here is one of those very rare situations where you can kind of tell how the game went just by looking at the scoreboard. And it's kind of sad to say. I was really expecting more out of KARN and Co. We kept hyping them up. They looked so good in the group stage, but when it mattered, when it came to playoffs, they were just simply absent.
It comes down to a lot more than frags usually, but that is where Wichita Academy shined tonight. As you can see by our playoff bracket, they will be moving on to the semifinals. Again, One Shot versus Mystic. The winner of that game will end up taking on this very, very challenging roster of Wichita Wolves Academy, as we have seen tonight. Dallas Vendetta, having won our earlier series, also have guaranteed themselves a spot in the semifinals, and that'll be against the winner of the Wichita Wolves CL roster and Chess Club. That one should be pretty interesting. Sorry, I have a piece of challah caught in my throat here. Just kidding. It's a big old box of Mike and Ike sours.
Oh my God.
That is right. Mike and Ike, one of our amazing sponsors here. And of course, the Mike and Ike Sweet Play is what we've got to show you next. You can power up your game. You can take your candy game as well to the next level with a pack of Mike and Ike Mega Mix Original Fruits, Mega Mix Sours, whatever your flavor is. Mike and Ike have got it. Delicious, fruity, chewy flavors. And of course, we freaking love Mike and Ike's. They've been with us for quite a while. So always love to show them the love that they deserve. But let's take a look at this play here from our first series of the night.
And it was from our first series, and it appears to be Twist. Unfortunately, his team couldn't take the dub today, but they did start off really well on Clubhouse thanks to him. First of all, getting a very nice shot on a Newers, who has been the GOAT so far, jumping out to find a second. There's the kill onto Inrio for his triple, and there's the final onto Giddy, not only getting the kills upstairs, but rotating down as well. And lest we forget, Jonah, this was a bar defense of all things. So Twist popping off, giving Bar a, actually, I think Bar has a 100% success right now because it was defended twice for the first time today, and then they've won it both.
There you go.
Well done.
Did not look that way in CL. Bar had like a 0% win rate or something.
Yeah, no,
it was
great.
messy. But maybe it's evolving. It's becoming more of a viable site. Who knows?
I hope so. Bar's pretty fun. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that will conclude the first day of playoffs. It's been quite an exciting group stage today. Certainly well, I guess the second game maybe disappointed a little bit, but it was still fun to watch. And if you want to keep up with the action, again, we are streaming every day up until Sunday when our grand finals will be. So tune in tomorrow at 6 p.m. EST, where we will have Chess Club versus the Wichita Wolves main team, as well as One Shot versus Mystic. Jonah, I have to say this Yiddish bit has probably been my favorite shtick so far. I hope you all enjoyed it as well. Hope you enjoyed the games. We love you guys. Have a great night, and we will see you tomorrow.
Yeah.